This is a recording for 7th hour math analysis, and we are finishing the notes for 3-3 today, and so we're moving the quiz to Friday, the 14th, and also we're moving homework 3 to being due Friday, 2/14 as well. And so let's kind of get started. This is now to condense a logarithmic expression. And yesterday we worked a lot on expanding things, and maybe I'll just add a blank slide a moment, or not yesterday. It's yesterday to me, but on Tuesday. And so just a reminder of some of these rules, because we did have some people leave early as well, that the log base b of xy equals the log base b of x plus the log base b of y. And so today we're going to go kind of that opposite way. And so if we have the log base b of x plus the log base b of y, we're going to be able to rewrite that as a single logarithm, the log base b of xy. And so that's kind of the version we're going to use of that one. Our other two properties of logarithms are the log base b of x divided by y, which equals the log base b of x minus the log base b of y. Again, we're going to take that subtraction one and change it into a single logarithm with division. And then our third property was that power property. The log base b of x to the p equals p times the log base b of x, where we took that p and kind of wrote it out in front. Well, now we're going to have that p out in front, p the log base b of x, and then we're going to move it this way, and we're going to say that's the log base b of x to the p. So I just thought I maybe would review a little bit of that, since it's been a day or two since you've looked at that. So here's this one. It's condense, and just when we're looking at this, so I'll just rewrite it. For a condense, sometimes it'll even say write as a single logarithm, 1/2 log base 4 of x minus 3 log base 4 of parentheses x minus 2. One just little note to self is that these have to be the same base logarithms in order to use these properties. So just a little reminder. So the first property that I'm going to use is that power property, and I've got the half out in front here. I'm going to raise that up here, and I've got this 3 out here, and I'm going to raise that up there. So let me just slide this down a little bit, and to simplify that or condense it together, I'm going to say this is the log base 4 of x to the 1/2 minus the log base 4 of parentheses x minus 2 raised to the third. So I'm taking those coefficients from out in front, and I'm raising them up as powers as I go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, this is a subtraction problem, and so I'm going to use the quotient property. And so if I have the log base 4 of something minus the log base 4 of something else, I can write it as a single log base 4 of this first thing divided by the second thing. And so that'll be x to the 1/2 over x minus 2 in parentheses to the third. And really, that's pretty much as condensed as it's going to get, but I will rewrite that x to the 1/2 as the square root of x. So the log base 4 of the square root of x over x minus 2 in parentheses to the third. So that's what's kind of happening in that one. I will point out this little note on this one, and that is just this little box. The logarithm of a sum or difference does not equal the sum or difference of logarithms. So if we have the ln of x plus 4, that does not equal the ln of x plus the ln of 4. So this would be the product property. What that would really be equal to is the ln of x times 4, or the ln of 4x. So you can't separate out that one that has addition in it, just to kind of let you know. So same thing here. At this point in this one, we can't write that as two different logarithms. That kind of parentheses x minus 2 just kind of stays by itself there. Then we'll move on to 4b and another condensing problem. So 4b, condense 5 ln parentheses x plus 1 parentheses plus 6 ln x. And so again, I'm going to use that power property and move that 5 up over here and that 6 here. So I want to kind of think about that whole entity of that answer part raised to those powers. So this will be the ln of parentheses x plus 1 raised to the 5th plus the ln. Since x is the only thing there, I'll just write it as x to the 6th. I did put it in parentheses a minute ago because if there were multiple things, I'd want to multiply or raise all of them to the 6th power. And then I'm going to use the product property kind of in reverse. And so I've got the ln, so these are the same base logarithms. I've got the same base logarithms, and I'm adding them so I can write them as a single logarithm. The ln of parentheses x plus 5, ln of parentheses x plus, 1 to the 5th times x to the 6th. And then personally, I would maybe rewrite this with x to the 6th in front. It's not wrong like this, but I just like the way it looks. X to the 6th times x plus 1 to the 5th. And that is the condensed version of that problem. So we looked in the last couple days at expanding logarithms using these properties, and then today condensing them. So the next part of this lesson is the change of base formula. And so to change bases, and this you will want to know, the log base b of x is equal to the log base a of x over the log base a of b. And so a lot of times we use this when we have a logarithm that is any base besides the base 10 common logarithm, which we just write as log, or the base e logarithm, which we write as the ln. And if that a that's written here on this formula is usually what we use, excuse me, I started saying that funny. So the A that we're going to use is generally base 10 or base E. So then we can kind of put that in a calculator. So you might want to write these extra ones here, and that is putting in the base 10 logarithm. So the log base b of x is equal to the log of x over the log of b, and that's changing it into a common logarithm, or the log base b of x, the second version, is equal to the ln of x over the ln of b. And the way I remember where to put each thing is I kind of think about when I write this first one, the x is a little higher, the b is a little lower, so that when I write my new version, the x is on the top, the b is on the bottom of that fraction that I'm using. Just a little way that I kind of help myself remember where things will be there. And I'm just going to say, if you change something into a base 10 logarithm and somebody else changes it into a base E logarithm, you should both get the same exact answer. So if you want to practice that, and just check, you can do that as well. So we're going to change the base, and now we will be using a calculator to find these values, and that will help us in our next section when we're solving exponential and logarithmic equations. So this is evaluate, so that's going to be get an answer for, and these will be decimal approximations. The log base 6 of 4. And so think about, we could set that equal to n, and 6 to the n equals 4, but there's no easy way we can raise 6 to a power and get 4, because the logarithm is an exponent, but there's no integer number that we can use for that. So we're going to use the change of base formula, and again, it doesn't matter if you change it into a base 10 or base E logarithm. So I'll change this one into a base 10. So that means the log base 6 of 4 is equal to the log of 4 over the log of 6. And then we're going to use a calculator to find that. So take a minute, do that, and we'll round to 2 decimal places. Try that. If you have to pause it to try it, fine. Otherwise, I'm just going to tell you the answer. It's 0.77 as we look at that. Then our next one, just another one of these, and for this one, I'll change it to a common logarithm again. Again, it doesn't matter ln or log. 5b is to evaluate the log base 1/3 of 8. And so we're going to use that change of base formula. And so we're going to say that it's the log of 8 over the log of 1/3. And that 1/3 you probably want to put in parentheses. Probably the logarithms you are always putting in parentheses on a calculator. And then on the calculator, you're going to do that and take a minute, try that, and then we'll kind of write that down. So check, you should have gotten negative 1.89 as we do that problem. Then there is one more problem. It's a word problem, and we'll kind of look at that and kind of see what it is, and then I'm going to have you try some problems as well. So this one, and I'm going to maybe make it just a little smaller so that it's easier for me. It looks complicated, but really we're just going to go through this process. This is number 6. It says ecology, diversity in a certain ecological environment containing 2 different species is modeled by the function d equals, and so write this down as I read it, d equals negative parentheses n1 over s log base 2 of n1 over s plus n2 over s log base 2 of n2 over s. And s is not my favorite letter, but we'll just go with it. Where n1 and n2 are numbers of each type of species found in the sample. And so I'll write that also. If you have a little room to the side, you might want to write s equals parentheses n1 plus n2 in parentheses. Not necessarily needing to be in parentheses, but we'll just write it the way it's written there. It says find the measure of diversity for environments that find 25 and 50 species in the sample. So we'll let N1 equal 25 and N2 can equal 50, and then S is 25 plus 50, so S is 75. And I was going to try to write that up there, but I just feel like I'm going to be a little squished together if I do. So let me clone that. . . And I'll slide it down over here so that I kind of have room to put that, and then we'll kind of look at it. And so here's our numbers. First, we just are going to put those in, and I don't use a calculator always at the board, so I'm just going to do some of the things by hand. So I've got a negative. N1 over S is 25 over 75 log base 2 of 25 over 75 again, plus N2, which is 50, so 50 over 75 log base 2 of same thing, 50 over 75. So, and again, I don't have a calculator in front of me always, so I'm just going to reduce these. Well, I'm going to simplify, and I'll just write my note. I'm going to simplify. So 25 over 75, this is D equals negative. Don't drop that negative. That's 1/3. Log base 2 of 1/3 plus 50 over 75 is 2/3. So 2/3 log base 2 of 2/3. And then I'm actually just going to use change of base and all of these things to kind of see what I can do as I go, and then just try to type it in a calculator. So the next thing I'm going to do is use change of base. So I'll write use change of base. And then I can use either ln or a base 10 logarithm. I'm going to use base 10. So here D equals negative parentheses 1/3. And then I'm going to change that into a fraction. And it's going to be log 1/3 over log 2. So I've got 1/3 times log 1/3 over log 2 plus 2/3 times, I'm going to do the same change of base thing there, log 2/3 over log 2. And then I'm actually just going to use the calculator to do that. Use calculator. And I'd like you to try that. And D is approximately equal to, I rounded mine to 3 decimal places. So just take a minute, type that in your calculator, and kind of see what you get as you go through that one. If you want to pause this, fine. Otherwise, I'm just going to tell the answer now. It's 0.918. And so just a complicated thing, we reduced, simplified a little bit, changed the bases so that we could type it in a calculator, and then we can get that answer. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm actually just going to copy this formula also, copy, because I have another problem that's going to be like this one. And this is 6B. I don't know, somehow that wasn't called A, but this is 6B. And I think I said we would be done, but oh well, I guess I misspoke there. So let's paste that rule in here again. And so then on this one, I'll put it back over there. So on this one, same directions as we go, but now our N1 and our N2 are 10 and 60. So N1 is 10, N2 is 60, and S is 70. So let's just kind of put those in and kind of see what happens as we go through that. And so here is D equals negative parentheses 10 over, and I didn't say how I got S, but 70 is 10 plus 60. So 10 over 70 log base 2 of 10 over 70 plus 60 over 70 log base 2 of 60 over 70. So then for this one, I'm just going to do that little reduction again, simplifying. So I've got my negative 1/7 log base 2 of 1/7. Whoops. plus 6/7 log base 2 of 6/7. And then for this one, I'm going to change the base next. So D equals negative parentheses 1/7 times the log of 1/7 over the log of 2 plus 6/7 times the log of 6/7 over the log of 2. Whoops, the base 10 logarithm, common logarithm, the log of 2. And so again, try typing that in your calculator and we'll get that to 3 decimal places. So if that first one didn't work great, maybe this one will work a little bit better. And then I'm just going to say my answer. So if you want to pause it to let everybody try, fine. Otherwise, here is the answer, 0.592 for that one. Now, the next thing that I'd like you to do is the teacher should give you the handout and you're going to do these practice problems and then I'll I'll have the key ready, or I'm just going to show the answers maybe as we go. So please pause the recording right now. Pause recording, and then I'll write get the handout and do the problems. And then either at the end of the hour today or the beginning of the hour tomorrow, we can go over those. So restart or unpause, I don't know, you know, sometimes unpause the recording to check answers, And then tomorrow, Friday, February 14th, we'll green pen and turn in homework 3 and then isolate and take the quiz for 3-3. So pause this now and then at the end of the hour you can go over this or we'll go over it tomorrow. And so I'll kind of go through the slides and give the answers. Now, hopefully you pause this and now you're coming back to kind of look at the answers. I'm just going to give you the answers. So if you have questions about them, by all means, ask me tomorrow before the test. So number 1, the answer is C. Number 2, the answer is D. Number 3, the answer is A. Number 4, the answer is B. Number 5, the answer is A. And number 6, the answer is A as well. And so hopefully you've checked your work that now. Rewrite your level of understanding for this lesson so that you should have level of understanding at the beginning and at the end of the lesson recorded. And then tomorrow we will green pen and turn in homework 3, and then we will we'll have the quiz on 3-3 as well.